Imagine entering an empty space where a crowd is packed together, eyes fixed on something that isn't there. The silence is broken by a whisper, "He's there." You look, but you don't see anything. Still, the shiver runs down your spine. It's not the doubt that bothers him, it's the possibility. What if the invisible is real? Since the dawn of humanity, we have been fascinated by what we cannot see. The fear of the dark, the stories of mystical entities, the whispers of something bigger than us. But when the time comes to believe, we are swallowed by the dilemma. What's scarier, the absence of evidence or the existence of something that defies logic? In search of answers, let's travel to ancient Jerusalem, where the heat of the desert shaped lives and beliefs. In the market, a young man named Elisar shouts something extraordinary. "There is a dragon in my tavern." His voice echoes, attracting curious and skeptical looks. Children drop their games and run to see the fantastic creature. Men and women leave their tasks, some laughing, others frowning. Elisar notices the growing attention and with a smile opens the wooden door of the tavern. Inside the void, there is no dragon. The murmurs increase. Someone points to the ground and asks, "Where are the footprints?" "Ah, it floats," Elisar replies with conviction. Another suggests, "Then let us throw flour into the air to reveal its shape." "Good idea," says Elisar, "but it would be useless. He is incorporeal." The crowd splits. On one side, the skeptics who laugh and call Elisar a liar. On the other, the curious, who hesitate. After all, how can you prove that something doesn't exist? This scene, although fictional, captures the essence of one of humanity's greatest dilemmas. The allegory of the dragon in the garage, conceived by scientist Carl Sagan, is not about dragons, but about the way we deal with the unknown. And here's the bottom line. Our mind is drawn to both skepticism and hope. But think about it. Why are we so inclined to believe? The idea of something invisible, be it a dragon, God, or a cosmic force, captivates us because it touches on something profound. The desire to belong, the search for a greater meaning. And that brings us to a disturbing question. Is it possible that the intangible is more real than we imagine? When Elisar proclaims the existence of his dragon, he is not just telling a lie. He is inviting us to look into the void and question our perception. What differentiates faith from delusion? What separates belief from deception? Throughout history, these questions have shaped civilizations. They created temples, but they also fueled wars. Belief in the unseen is a powerful but dangerous force. It builds and destroys with the same intensity. And then we return to the crowd in front of the tavern. An old man approaches and questions Elisar. "If we can't see, hear, or feel your dragon, how can we know it exists?" Elisar smiles again, but this time her expression is different. "Because you're here, trying to figure it out," he responds. This is the essence of mystery, human curiosity. The dragon does not need to exist. It just needs to awaken something within us. And this is where you, the viewer, enter the story. Because while Elisar faces his mob, we face our own doubts. We look at the universe, vast, immense, seemingly chaotic, and ask ourselves, is there something beyond what we can see? Over the next few minutes, you will be taken on a journey that connects what is above with what is below. Let's explore invisible patterns that govern everything from the dance of galaxies to cell multiplication. But before that, pause and reflect. What are you looking for? Maybe it's comfort, maybe answers, or perhaps just a story that makes sense. Whatever your motivation, the starting point is the same: doubt. Just like the crowd outside the tavern, you are here, curious, skeptical, hopeful. And that's all we need to get started. When we look at the starry sky, something inside us awakens. It is as if each luminous point in infinity whispers ancient secrets, inviting us to decipher a hidden code. But what if this same code could be found not just out there in the vast universe, but within us, in the cells that make us up? Since the dawn of humanity, we have sought patterns. It's what we do. We see constellations in the sky. We associate rhythms with music. We recognize faces in crowds. This obsession is no coincidence. It's survival. After all, identifying patterns helps us navigate chaos. But when we look closely, very closely, we notice something deeper. It's not just standards. They are echoes. The cosmos is reflected within us. Let's start with a story. Imagine a leaf slowly falling from a tree in autumn. It seems like a banal, almost poetic act. But within that sheet, there is a complexity so impressive that it puts any modern technology to shame. Each cell in the leaf is a little powerhouse, converting light into energy, storing nutrients, creating life. Now expand your vision. The same laws that govern the structure of these cells also shape stars, galaxies, and even black holes. It is as if the universe were a huge machine, where each gear, no matter how small, is essential for the functioning of the whole. For example, look at the shape of a brain cell and compare it to the cosmic web of galaxies captured by state-of-the-art telescopes. Both have similar structures, interconnected branches, forming complex networks. Coincidence? Perhaps. But when coincidences start piling up, we need to ask, is this the work of chance or is there an intention behind everything? The Hermetic principle of correspondence offers us a key to this question. As above is as below. In other words, the same rules that govern the microcosm, like the cells in our body, also govern the macrocosm, the expanding universe. This principle suggests that there are no real boundaries between the small and the large, the visible and the invisible. Everything is connected. Now think about the numbers. There's a reason we see geometric and mathematical patterns in everything, from the spirals of a sunflower to the arms of a galaxy. The universe seems to operate like an infinite equation, where each part follows a precise logic. To illustrate this, consider the Fibonacci sequence, a series of numbers that creates the famous golden spiral. You find it in nature, in the branches of a tree, in the shell of a snail, in the structure of a cyclone. And you also find it in the design of the galaxies, which follow the same pattern. How is it possible that something as simple as a mathematical sequence is so universal? If that doesn't seem extraordinary, consider this. Your heart also follows mathematical rhythms as it beats. The pulse of life that you feel in your chest is not random. It responds to precise laws, the same laws that govern the rotation of planets and the formation of stars. When we begin to see these patterns, we realize that we are not isolated. We are an extension of the universe, made from the same cosmic fabric. But if we are so small compared to the vastness of the universe, why do we feel that we matter? This is the question that echoes in our moments of solitude. When we look at the night sky or the lines on our hands, there is a quiet intuition that we are part of something bigger, something that transcends our understanding. Perhaps the answer lies in transmutation. Imagine the cycle of life. Soil minerals are absorbed by plants, plants are consumed by animals, and these in turn become part of something bigger, nurturing the next generation. This cycle repeats itself, expanding with each iteration. Now apply this concept to human consciousness. What if, just as the body transforms after death, our mind, our essence, also aspires to something greater? There is a pattern that connects all living beings, from the smallest microorganism to the largest predator. There is a hierarchy, an evolution that seems to point towards a destination. But what is this destiny? This is the question that moves us. Now return to the starry sky. Every star you see is part of a galaxy, and every galaxy is part of an even larger universe. There is no isolation. Everything is part of a whole. When you realize this, something changes. Suddenly, you're not just a person on a small planet, but an indispensable piece in the great cosmic puzzle. And here's the most intriguing thing. Even after so many coincidences, patterns, and connections, we still don't have all the answers. The universe offers us clues, but it is up to us to decipher them. Maybe this is part of the plan, an endless journey of discovery. Before we continue this journey together, I want you to do something. Look around you. Find a pattern, whether it's the texture of the leaves, the shape of a cloud, or the lines on your own hands. Now imagine that this pattern is a fragment of something larger, because in fact that's what he is. Imagine a time when humanity was still learning to shape the world with its hands and understand the universe with its mind. What makes a philosopher, isolated in a medieval library, look up at the sky and ask, why does something exist instead of nothing? This question is not just philosophical, it's visceral. It touches on the essence of who we are, the desire to understand our origin, purpose, and destiny. It was exactly this restlessness that moved Thomas Aquinas. In the heart of the Middle Ages, when religious fervor and the search for knowledge fought constant battles, Thomas dared to unite faith and reason. But he didn't start from scratch. He had an intellectual ally who lived centuries earlier, Aristotle. The Greek philosopher believed that there was an order in the apparent chaos of the universe, and Thomas saw this as the beginning of something greater. Aristotle spoke of the unmoved mover, an eternal, constant, and perfect force that would be the origin of all movement. Think about it. Everything in the universe is in motion, from the spin of galaxies to the atoms that make up your body. But for something to move, something has to start it. So who made the first push? Who or what is this unmoved mover? Thomas Aquinas believed the answer was clear: God. Now ask yourself, if everything that exists was caused by something, what would be the cause of all causes? Thomas developed 5 ways to prove the existence of God, and they were not just religious arguments. They were attempts to apply logic and observation to the greatest mystery of existence. He started with the first way, which is proof of movement. Everything that moves needs something to start it. If you push a chair, your hand was the agent. But what if we look at the entire universe? Who moved the first domino? This leads us to second copy, the proof of efficient cause. Imagine you are cooking and decide to turn on the stove. The heat from the fire cooks the food, but what started the fire? It is a cycle of causes, but it cannot be infinite. At some point there has to be a starting point, an initial cause that was not caused by anything. For Thomas, that cause was God. But it is in third way, proof of contingency, that things get even more intriguing. Everything that exists in the universe is temporary. A tree grows, lives, and dies. A star shines for millions of years but eventually collapses. This means that at some point there could be nothing at all. So how does something exist? If the universe is made up of things that may or may not exist, there must be something that exists necessarily, that does not depend on anything. This base of all things would be, again, God. You may be wondering, this is just medieval logic. How does this apply to me here and now? Think about your own body. You are made of trillions of cells, each functioning like a tiny machine. Each cell has a purpose, but depends on another to survive. This cycle repeats itself on such a large scale that it seems infinite, but we know it is not. The human body, like the universe, needs a starting point, an initial cause that brought it into existence. And this is where we come to fourth way, proof of degrees of perfection. This is one of the most fascinating. Thomas noticed that some things are more beautiful, more true, or more virtuous than others. But how do we know this? Where does this comparison come from? For something to be more beautiful, we need an absolute reference of beauty. For something to be truer, there must be an ultimate truth. This standard of absolute perfection would be, according to Thomas, the very essence of God. But here's the big turning point. What if the perfection we recognize in the world around us is just a glimpse of something much bigger? A fifth way addresses exactly this. It is known as the proof of the government of things. Imagine an arrow being fired towards a target. The arrow does not reach the goal alone, needs an archer. Likewise, the universe, with all its order and precision, could not function without an intelligence guiding it. Gravity, the rotation of planets, physical laws, all point to a mind that designed these rules. But there is something even more fascinating. These laws are not random. They follow patterns so precise that they allow life to exist. If the gravitational force were a little weaker, stars would not form. If it were a little stronger, they would collapse. It seems like the universe was set up exactly so that you could exist. At this point, it's impossible not to wonder, was this all planned? The answer, as always, depends on where you're looking. Aquinas' quest was not just about proving something to others. It was about understanding the world on a deeper level. And this search did not end in the Middle Ages. Scientists, philosophers, and theologians continue to explore these questions. But what does this mean for you? It means that curiosity is part of our essence, and the search for answers is what connects us to the universe and perhaps to the divine. Now I have a question for you. What if the very existence of this video was a piece of this puzzle? What if somehow you being here right now were part of something bigger? Get ready, because the next leg of this journey will reveal the secret patterns that connect everything in the universe, from sacred mathematics to the shapes that underpin reality. Think about it. A single point in seemingly empty space can contain the potential of the entire universe. It seems impossible, But this concept, which modern science calls singularity, is older than you might think. Since the first civilizations, our ancestors believed that everything in the cosmos is born from an essential unity, something invisible but which manifests itself in patterns, forms, and laws that govern everything. Now let's take a break. Close your eyes and imagine a flower. Simple, right? But look closer. Each petal grows in specific proportions. The flower's own symmetry is governed by something invisible to the eye, mathematics. This hidden language isn't just in flowers, it's in everything, from the design of a butterfly's wings to storm cycles. This is what we call universal standards. And that brings us to flower of life. But what exactly is this? It's not a literal flower, but an ancient symbol found in cultures around the world, from ancient Egypt to temples in China, a design composed of intertwined circles, forming a harmonious structure that, they say, contains the essence of all forms of life in the universe. Why did so many civilizations, separated by time and space, represent this pattern? Was it a coincidence or something much bigger? To answer, we need to go deep into the world of numbers and shapes. Pythagoras, the Greek philosopher and mathematician, was one of the first to claim that the universe could be understood through mathematics. For him, numbers were not just measurements, but sacred entities, capable of revealing the divine order of the cosmos. And within this order, there is a constant, the number phi, or the golden ratio. The golden ratio is a mathematical ratio of approximately 1.618 found in natural and man-made structures. It is in the design of a nautilus shell, in the human body, and even in great works of art and architecture, such as the Parthenon in Athens and Da Vinci's Mona Lisa. It's no exaggeration to say that phi is the DNA of beauty in the universe. Now, a question that may have never crossed your mind: how can something so perfect be the work of chance? This is the question that has puzzled scholars for millennia. Consider this. In 2021, a study from the University of Oxford revealed that the chances of the universe having the exact structure to allow life are slim to none. Scientists call this fine-tuning. The physical laws, fundamental constants, and initial conditions of the cosmos appear to have been fine-tuned with surgical precision so that life as we know it could emerge. Now imagine a musician tuning an instrument. Each string needs to be in the right tone to create harmony. The universe appears to be exactly that, a cosmic symphony, where every particle and force acts in perfect synchrony. And like every symphony, it follows a pattern, or rather a score. And this score manifests itself in surprising ways. Take, for example, what happens when sound waves are applied to a surface covered with sand or salt. You might think you'll see random chaos, but what emerges are perfect geometric patterns. This is called symmetrism, and is further proof that sound, vibration, and geometry are intrinsically connected. But wait, let's expand this perspective even further. Plato, the famous philosopher, believed that all things in the universe could be reduced to perfect geometric shapes. He called them Platonic solids. These 5 shapes, tetrahedron, hexahedron, octahedron, dodecahedron, and icosahedron, are found in everything from the structure of crystals to biological molecules. For Plato, these forms were pure manifestations of the divine, a link between the physical world and the realm of ideas. And here's the fascinating detail. The same shapes that Plato studied thousands of years ago are still being used today to model reality. In 3D animations, video games, and even scientific simulations, Platonic solids are the basis for creating and representing the world. Once again, old patterns continue to shape the present. Now think about Nikola Tesla's famous quote: "If you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." It's not just poetry. Tesla was talking about something that the ancients already understood intuitively. Everything in the universe vibrates. From the smallest particle to the largest galaxies, everything is in motion, and as symmetrism showed, vibration creates forms. What if these forms are a language, a hidden message that the universe tries to convey to us? This is the provocation that unites science, philosophy, and spirituality. No matter where you look, at the beauty of a distant nebula or the complexity of a cell, the same patterns keep appearing. These are signs that perhaps we are dealing with something much bigger than we can understand. Now, a quick breather. So far, we have explored the numbers, shapes, and vibrations that govern reality. But let me ask, what does this mean to you? These patterns, these laws, are not just abstractions. They are in every beat of your heart, in every breath you take. They are proof that you are part of this great cosmic tapestry. And that's why this conversation matters, because in the end, the real question is not whether or not God exists, or whether the universe has a purpose. The real question is, can you see your connection to all of this? Before we move on to the next chapter, pause and reflect. Look around you. What do you see? Now look inside. What do you feel? If all that is above is like all that is below, then the answer to the universe's greatest mysteries may lie within you. Along this journey, we uncover patterns that govern the universe, explore connections between the micro and macro, and seek answers to questions that have echoed since the beginning of time. But there is something that has not yet been said. Despite all the logic, mathematics, and observation, the greatest mystery cannot be proven. It needs to be lived. Think about all the times you felt something you couldn't explain. A shiver when listening to a song, the silence that speaks louder than words in a lonely moment, or that intuition that seemed to know something before you did. It's these little glimpses that remind us that there is more to existence than we can measure or define. What if these experiences were invitations? Invitations to perceive the divine in everything. Over the centuries, philosophers, scientists, and artists have tried to capture this idea in words and symbols. But what they discovered, and what you may already know intuitively, is that the divine is not just out there, in the stars, in equations, or in platonic solids. It's here now inside you. Now return with me to the flower of life. This ancient pattern found in civilizations around the world is not just a historical curiosity, it's a metaphor for something much bigger. Just as the circles of the flower of life are interconnected, so is everything in the universe. And with us, we are part of an infinite web, an eternal dance of energy, form, and consciousness. And here's the big revelation. Everything we seek, every question we ask, everything we want to prove or understand is already within us. The answers lie in the patterns of our thoughts, the emotions we feel, the connections we make. The universe is not something you just observe, it's something you live. But why does this matter? Because as long as we live in search of external answers, we run the risk of missing the greatest mystery of all, the experience of being alive. Imagine living each moment as if it were an extension of the cosmos, as if your every breath was an echo of the original creation. Isn't that what we all seek deep down, feeling like we belong to something bigger? What if everything we talk about, the patterns, the forms, the laws, were not proofs of God, but invitations to know Him? To feel it? Just as you cannot taste a dragon until you see it, you may never taste God until you experience Him. So how to take this step? It's not something I or anyone else can do for you, but there is a clue. The universe communicates through patterns, and these patterns are around you all the time. All you have to do is pay attention. Now I want to leave you with one final provocation. If everything in the universe is interconnected, and if you are part of this great cosmic tapestry, then what you do matters. Every thought, every choice, every action is like a stone thrown into a lake, creating waves that reach unimaginable distances. And here is the invitation: be an agent of transformation. If this video touched you in any way, share this message. Subscribe to the channel to continue this journey with us. Like the video, comment on your reflections, and most importantly, take these ideas into your life, because in the end, it's not just about understanding the universe, but about living it fully. I deeply thank you for being here, for dedicating your time, your attention, and perhaps a little of your curiosity. Together, we are building a community that seeks more than answers. It seeks meaning. Thank you, and see you soon. Remember, the universe is vast, but it starts here, within you.